Hello everybody, Ben Woodruff here with the Hutchings Museum. In this video I'm going to talk about how petroglyphs are made. Now there are two types of rock art typically discussed, and that are pictographs, which are painted onto the rock using earth pigments, and petroglyphs, which are chiseled into the rock itself. Now normally out in nature, natural weathering from rain and snow will pick up minerals and it will deposit an iron oxide patina on the outside of rocks, gives it kind of a rusty look. Now if you chisel through that down to the lighter rock underneath, you have stark contrast between the light and the dark. That's how you get a petroglyph. But I want to show you exactly how this is made. But first you got to understand, this is a very human thing. All over the world people do petroglyphs, from ancient Africa to Australia, and from South America to Siberia. We find rock art everywhere in the world. Petroglyphs are just a way that humans express themselves, from doing things that are deeply spiritual and meaningful, to documenting hunts, to just even doodling. So how are these actually made though? This is what I want to share, because normally there's a lot of misinformation about how this is done, and there's a lot of assumptions, and I'm going to demonstrate how this is actually done.
On this petroglyph, you can see that that iron oxide rust, that patina, is over the outside of the rock. It's dark. By chiseling underneath, you can see the rock underneath is much lighter. So they're just chiseling to get away that outer patina coating. It's a beautiful petroglyph.
Looking at this petroglyph from a distance, it seems very concentric and concise. But on closer inspection you can see the actual peck marks or chisel marks that really define every petroglyph you see. This across the board seems to be the technique for removing that outer patina. So how exactly did they do it? Well, I've taken a couple of rocks here. These are raw stone with a nice coating of iron oxide patina on the outside. Perfect for practicing on. One of the first techniques that's often suggested is to carve or scrape the rock away with a sharp stone. This seems to do the trick, but as you can see, you're not actually carving the rock deeply enough to leave a lasting mark on the stone itself. Another technique that's often suggested is to use indirect percussion with an elk antler or a moose antler and a hammer stone. This seems like it would work using the antler as a chisel, but as you can see, the stone is just too hard. I've tried this with many different types of antler before. I've had a little bit of success with moose, but not enough to leave a good mark. Another technique that's often suggested is direct percussion, using a sharp stone and directly hammering into the patina. Now this does work a little bit, but there's no precision and it doesn't leave the deep marks we find in petroglyphs. So let's take a look at a clue here. I found these stones right near the petroglyph site. It's a coarse stone similar to quartzite, and it's been clearly worked by human hand. I'm a flint knapper and I recognize the hallmark signs of percussion hits used to shape this stone. Now this piece here could be used as a hand axe or a butchering tool, but it was left on site. More importantly are these flakes or spalls, as we call them, and they don't look like much. These are actually perfect chisels for, even in the shape they're in now, for making a petroglyph. I left the artifacts in place and went home and took a raw piece of quartzite that I had available and hammered off spalls similar to what I had seen near the petroglyphs. When I was done, I had a nice grouping of chisels of different sizes and shapes. And even this square chisel, this was one of my most useful ones. I took one of the sharp edges, ground it down. The grinded edge is the edge I will use to hammer against. Now armed with a stone chisel and a hammer stone, I was ready to go to work. Now, this chisel technique you would think would shatter that flake, but you can see it's doing a brilliant job of clearing the patina down to the lighter rock underneath. I started leaving a second mark. My chisel split, but it lasted still the whole rest of the time. At first I was just leaving grooves to demonstrate, but then I decided to make a bighorn sheep, as this is an image that is commonly found in petroglyphs. Once I got to this point, I decided to clear the dark patina away from the body itself to lighten things up. Things were looking good, but I decided to pour some water over the top to give you a better idea of just how much stone I had cleared away in only about 20 minutes of work. This simple technique of using a stone chisel and a hammerstone has been used successfully for thousands of years all over the world. It only took me 3 small chisels to do this work.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that video. I hope you learned a few new things. If you could subscribe to our channel, we very much appreciate it. And if you want to learn more about history, come visit us at the Hutchings Museum. It's at 55 North Center Street in Lehi, Utah. See you next time.